Hi Aquarius, Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your 2021 general overview. Thank you to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you who are looking for my general or love readings for January, those are already posted. You could just check them out on the playlist section of the channel. As far as what we have in front of us here, I actually pulled some cards for each house of the zodiac relative to your sign. And we're actually going to roll some astrology dice to open reading to see where your main areas of focus should be as far as that goes, and then we'll actually pull an oracle card after we get to the main spread to wrap everything up. So this is just a little something I wanted to do for the new year ever. Something different I wanted to do for the new year, let's say it that way. So hopefully you guys like it. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so we have Virgo energy. So that's the sixth house naturally. So there could be a lot of focus on that area of your lives as far as health, routines, your work life. And for you guys, Virgo energy is your eighth house too. So it could be a lot of focus around that area of life as far as intimacy, death, rebirth themes, investments. We also have 12, so that would be the 12th house. So it could be a lot of focus on your 12th house. We had Jupiter and Saturn move out of your 12th house and into your sign recently, but we still have Pluto there, and there's going to be a new moon there soon as well. So it could be a lot of focus on that for you guys. And the natural 12th house is Pisces, so maybe it could be some time with that energy as well. And we also have Pluto. So speaking of which, like I was saying, Pluto is in your 12th house. So there could definitely be a heavy focus on that energy. So, all right, with that out of the way, let's get started with the main spread. In the first house, we have the last judgment, which is judgment energy, speaking of Pluto and Scorpio, and the Ace of Pentacles. So, to me, this looks like you guys might be going back to something from your past, and it's actually going to help you financially. So, for example, maybe a skill that you might have let lie dormant for a while for whatever reason. Maybe you hadn't been tapping into it. You might be going back to it. Or for some of you, could be going back to a previous employer or possibly even just a career field that you might have left behind. You might be going back to that. And for others of you, could just be saying on an intuitive level, you might feel some energies rise up for you that actually help redirect your finances in a positive way. But yeah, this definitely looks like whatever this is actually going to lead to some stability for you guys. So looks like pretty positive energy there. And I will say, the first Mercury retrograde of this year is going to be in your sign, so it could even be around that time when you start to feel that energy kick off for you too. Because, I mean, we have plenty of Mercury retrogrades every year, but not necessarily in our sign, so that could be a significant timeline for you guys too. Second house, we have the Three of Cups, which is Cancer energy, which is your sixth house of work, routine, health, and we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. So, well, if we just look at the keywords they use for these cards in this deck, we have Lord of Abundance for the Three of Cups and Lord of Material Gain for the Nine of Pentacles. So to have these both show up in your second house of finances, possessions, that's pretty good energy, right? So definitely looks like there could be a positive shift for you guys there. Three of Cups usually represents something with a strong foundation too. So usually, like, I view it as family connections, for example, or just long-standing friendships. So could even be tied into that in some way too. And this could be around investments for some of you as well, given that Virgo is 8th house energy for you guys. And we did see also Virgo showed up as one of the key themes for you guys this year. So hopefully that resonates. Pretty positive energy there too. In the third house, we have Knight of Wands. So this is actually Sagittarius energy here. So for you guys, that's your 11th house, which is the house that you guys naturally rule. But Sagittarius is a natural ruler of the 9th house too. So it could just be saying that you might feel a bit more advanced with your communication. You might be looking at things from a higher vantage point. But also, in the process, also being more communicative too. And maybe that's partially due to the fact that the ruler of Sagittarius will be in your sign for a good portion of the year with I'm referring to Jupiter, of course. So could be pointing to that too. It looks like there's going to be a lot of communication, maybe quite a bit of short distance travel, maybe even some more long distance travel for some of you as well. Pretty positive energy there as well. In the fourth house, we have Six of Cups. So this is actually Scorpio energy here. And the key words for it here is Lord of Pleasure. So pretty positive energy to have here as well. Now, for some of you, given what I was seeing here, this could actually point to you guys possibly working from home. Maybe that's something you decided to do recently or will decide to do this year, and that could bring you some financial security, given that this is showing up in your fourth house. And again, especially since Six of Cups usually does represent something from the past, I feel like this is something that you've had experience with in the past, but for whatever reason might have disconnected from it. Try to see if anything else comes to mind with this. And for some of you, this can be around healing connections, possibly with family or someone that you've just known for a long time, possibly even someone you might have lived with in the past. So, for example, maybe an old romantic partner, but pretty positive energy there as well. All right. In the fifth house, we have Seven of Swords. So this is actually Aquarius energy. But this is one of the more difficult energies as far as the sword energies go. It can sometimes point to deception. Sometimes it could also point to cutting corners. So around creativity or romance, make sure that you're not doing that. Try to be upfront and honest with people, and also just be mindful of that in your environment too. Make sure that people are being upfront and honest with you as well. Trying to think if anything else comes to mind with this. And this is going to be those degrees of Aquarius. This represents 20 to 30 degrees of Aquarius. That's going to be where the Mercury retrograde starts for you guys too. So be mindful around communications definitely around that time. That's going to start right around the very end of January and go through the first half of February. All right. In the sixth house, we have the High Priestess. So usually I view this as Pisces energy, and we did see that 12th house came up for you guys. So could definitely point to bringing spirituality into your work environment, into your daily routine, even around health as well. So I feel like this is just saying you guys are really going to be tapping into your intuition, maybe getting in touch with, like I said, things that you might have let fall by the wayside for whatever reason, but you're getting back in touch with them this year. Try to think if anything else comes to mind with this. And also, I would say, tap into your intuition as well when it comes to making decisions around those areas of life, and that could be the key to pushing you in the right direction. All right, seventh house, we have King of Cups in reverse. So this is Scorpio energy and the Blasted Tower. So not gonna lie, these are pretty intense energies in your seventh house. I'll put this in the upright while we talk about it. So with this energy coming up in reverse, a couple things come to mind. Now, the first thing we tend to think with seventh house is romantic relationships. So that's certainly a possibility that this could be what it's pointing to. Possibly a water sign, most likely. A Scorpio, if that's the case, that might be deceptive within your connection. If that's the case, they would be found out. That's what I'm seeing there, and then that could cause the tower moment naturally. Now, for others of you, this could just be pointing to partnerships in general. So, given that for you guys, Scorpio is your 10th house of career and social status, just watch out for some deception within your work environment where someone might be trying to undermine you. So definitely just keep an eye out for that. And maybe tap into that High Priestess energy that we see in your sixth house to feel out like, okay, is there anyone who might not have the best of intentions for me in my work environment? And if that's the case, just be careful around them, what you share with them especially. Because it looks like I said, it looks like you guys are tapping into some good ideas here. So it could be one of those things where someone might try to take an idea you have and steal it as their own. So just be on the lookout for that. All right, in the eighth house, we have the Star. So this is actually the major arcana card for your sign. So definitely a pretty good thing to see here. And interesting to see that it popped up in the 8th house too, given that we saw Pluto pop up as one of your key things, given that Pluto is the natural ruler of the 8th house. But seeing this here, I will say that this is going to me, most likely point to investments that you might make are actually going to be lucrative for you. And even if that's just investments in yourselves, as far as intimacy goes, same thing. I feel like you're going to be able to open yourselves up more. And in doing so, that's going to actually get you guys on the right track. Because to me, above and beyond the star just representing Aquarius energy, to me it represents that moment where you might go through a tower moment. So interestingly enough, right, the tower is 16 and a major arcana. All right, well, it doesn't want to focus, but kind of see. There we go, 16, and then the star card is 17. So usually I view that tower as like a course correction type situation. So could just be saying that this is you guys, coming out of that and getting back on the right path. So usually after the tower moment, I do view it as a course correction usually, and then with the star, it's like you have that reset. You're actually on the right path. So pretty good energy to see there. All right, in the 9th house, we have 2 of Swords. So this is Libra energy. And this could just be pointing to you guys trying to look at things from a higher perspective. It's interesting that this did come up in there, Libra energy, and like I said, the fact that for you guys, Libra is your 9th house, so definitely some synchronicity with that. But it says a Lord of Peace restored. So if there is some kind of falling out with someone, it looks like you can actually restore the balance there. It might take you some time to look at things from a higher perspective. So just a super generic example, maybe someone betrays you in some way, but it actually, ends up being a big teaching moment for you that you're able to learn from, look at it from a higher perspective, and then maybe you could come back around with them and actually continue the connection in that regard. Trying to think if anything else comes to mind. Well, and then we also have the fact that, like I said, you guys have Jupiter in your sign for a good portion of 2021, and that's the natural ruler of the 9th house, so that could be infusing some energy into what you do as well. Trying to think if anything else comes to mind. Could just be saying try to avoid emotional reactions, which you tend to be very good at doing anyway as a whole, but just saying that, because the reason I say that is think about the 2 of Swords in traditional tarot, we see the woman with her back turned to the water and the moon, which are both symbols of emotion. So could just be saying, try not to react emotionally to something that might take place, because that could just exacerbate the issue, and then with a little time, if you really just think it through, it might actually end up looking a bit different to you. So something to keep in mind there. All right, in the 10th house, we have Deft, which is, again, Scorpio energy, and your 10th house. And we have the Lovers, which is Gemini energy, which is your 5th house. So could just be saying that maybe this is you leaving behind the tried and true things, right? That's this is the way we've always done it, so that's how we're going to continue to do it. And going more with your creativity, being a bit more open, a bit more expressive, trying out something new, given that we're seeing the 5th house mix in with the 10th house energy for you guys. So I feel like that's more of a shift. Obviously, seeing the Deft card followed up by the Lovers looks like an improvement of the energy in there as well, so that's a positive thing. It could just point to you possibly partnering up with someone too, or possibly even finding love within your career, but I'm not necessarily seeing that as most likely. I just view this more as like partnerships, meeting with people who are seeing things from the same perspective as you and having a much more harmonious environment. And in a more generic way, this could just point to you leaving one job and going to another where the environment's a lot more supportive to you. So that's another way it could play out too. All right. 11th house energy. We have the Devil in reverse, the 8 of Swords in reverse, and the Universe in reverse. So I'll just put them in the upright while we talk about them. This is Capricorn energy here, which is your 12th house, but We see it here in the 11th. The 8 of Swords is Gemini energy, and then the universe, usually I view this as Saturn energy, also makes me think of the North Node. So seeing these three come up together, the Devil being in reverse here, could just be saying that you're actually letting go of some ties that might have been overdue for you to disconnect from anyway. And if that's the case, probably be around friendships or groups you associate with. With the 8 of Swords in reverse, too, to me that shows, if we think about it when it's in the upright, you think about the woman with the blindfold, and she could easily get out of her situation, but she's scared to move forward. So if that's in reverse, I feel like it's saying that if there are some connections that you felt like were overdue to be left behind, you're finally going to take that action. But if the universe was in the upright, it would have been a lot more. It would have been, yes, that's absolutely 100% the right thing for you to have done. You learn the lesson, you're good to go. But with this coming up in reverse, could just be saying to, okay, it's one thing to do that, right? But make sure that you actually learn the lesson behind it as well to avoid repeating that cycle. So, for example, just a super generic example, someone who on January 1st, they delete people from their social media, right? Like, oh, I'm getting rid of these people, but they don't look at, well, why'd you let those people in your environment to begin with, right? And then they end up getting not those same people again, but then they end up following similar people and then end up at square one again the following year. You know what I mean? That was just a super generic example. But that's what I see with the universe showing up in reverse. It's like, all right, that's great. These are ties that you probably did need to leave behind, but just be mindful of integrating the lesson behind that as well. So overall, I don't, think it's too heavy of an energy, but hopefully that resonated with you. And 12th house energy, we have the Ace of Swords. So this could just be saying that on the subconscious level, you might have a lot of insight coming to you guys. Like I said, a lot of the 12th house energy that you guys were experiencing has been a bit lightened with Saturn moving out of there. But for some of you, for example, let's say you're Aquarius, whatever, if it's your sun, your moon, or your rising sign is 15 degrees Aquarius, then technically that energy is still in your 12th house. So, for some of you, you're still going through that. But with this showing up here in the 12th house, I feel like this is saying, especially seeing the High Priestess in your 6th house, the Judgment, I feel like this is saying that, you really want to tap into your intuition. That's going to be the key to giving you some positive insights on how to move forward in life. So definitely keeping a lookout for that. And at the bottom of the deck, I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but we have the 6 of Wands, which is Lord of Victory. So pretty positive energy there. That's Leo energy too. So can point to, like I was saying, even if there is some kind of deception in your environment, looks like you will be able to come out on top with that too. So pretty positive vibes there. All right, and finally, we'll pull an Oracle card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. I did pre-shuffle this deck before we started recording. So what I'm going to be looking for here is just a jumper with messages for us to wrap up with. And if I shuffle for a while without anything coming up, then I'll just put the deck down and we'll pull a card. But I do like to at least get one card to wrap up these readings with. Alright, nothing coming up. So I'll put the deck down and we'll pull a card. So give me a few seconds to tune in and we'll pull a card. Alright. Okay, we have co-create. There's the artwork. And the number is 40. So we'll see what that has to say. So already that's making me think of, like I was saying, with the Last Judgment, High Priestess energy we see there, Ace of Swords in your 12th house. It'll just be saying, really just tapping into your intuition as far as creativity goes, but we'll see what it says. Okay, it says creativity, art, inspiration, fruition, manifestation. The Oracle's message: you may not consider yourself a creative person, but in fact you are creating your reality every moment of every day via your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, intentions, and actions. Yet you must consider that you do so in partnership with Spirit, Consciousness, God, or whatever name you call your higher power. You are a spark of this intelligence that works through you, nudging you with inspired thought and intuitive guidance. You are a paintbrush that co-creates a beautiful, unique expression of your own individuality, blended with universal spirit. You are a product of divine inspiration, and now you're aligned with it to create miracles. When you view your life as art and know you co-create it, only beauty and grace result. Prepare to be amazed. So, definitely a pretty positive message there. Hopefully that resonated with you. And then the relationship message says, connections of the heart serve to inspire you, opening you up to new ideas you would have never come to on your own. You are looking in a mirror held up by this experience and seeing yourself in an unexpected way. Who is this extraordinary being looking back at you? You are going to be so happy you kept your heart open. Your love is a unique work of art now, the very embodiment of beauty. So interesting there, as far as I did see the 5th and the 7th house energies didn't look the most harmonious. But what that could be saying for some of you, given what I was feeling with that energy in your 9th house with the Lord of Peace restored, could just be saying, like I was feeling, maybe try not to emotionally react to something that might take place, because maybe it could be a misunderstanding, especially, like I said, keep in mind you are going to have that Mercury retrograde in your sign. They're going to be in all the air signs this year, so Gemini and also Libra too, so just keep that in mind. Hopefully that resonated with you though. Alright, the prosperity message says, flashes of inspiration give rise to great success when you receive this message. You are at your most creative now, and whatever you apply yourself to will lead to the fruition of your dreams. Remember that all your ideas are channeled from a higher source. You create your reality in partnership with Spirit. The potential for manifestation is unlimited now. Revel in its vastness. So yeah, it definitely makes me think of the Ace of Swords in the 12th house, as far as it's saying, ideas coming to you from Spirit, basically. And the Last Judgment we saw there in the 1st house as well, with the Ace of Pentacles. So that looks like that's going to be the key for you guys this year. So hopefully that resonated with you. We'll wrap up there. I'll be back in a few weeks with the February readings, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, bye.